Uh, Sasha, hi. Thank you so much for opportunity to talk with you. And idea is to understand a little bit cross-disciplinary why that Mars as an interplanetary location is important, and also, how feasible is this uh, in common decades? Because I try to the purpose of my VC progresspunks is that how I say to I want to see more progress during our lives. So it's something, not something like I like long-termism or whatever. It's during my life while I'm active. So that's important. And for me, Mars looks like I guess you can understand my concerns, because when I was young at school, Elon Musk said we will launch rockets with spacemen in 3 or 4 years, and it took him something like 14 years more. So I mean, it was engineering problem. Of course, he wanted reusable rockets, but still, the gap is like half of my life passed just to deliver this his initial basic promise, which for him at that moment looked like something at least durable. So and by the way, it's surprising thing. When I used to work in management consulting for AT Kearney, I used to work in a team with Konstantin Borisov, and now he is on the International Space Station. So we worked together on consulting engagements, and the last few months he's in outer space. And it's not more than probably 1,000 of spacemen for 60 years. So it's 1.5 people each month, just that much. So Mars, why important, and what kind of issues we have with colonization, not just to reach, but ideas, if it's possible to settle. And so but first, a few words about you.
Thanks, Victor. Thanks for having me. It's an exciting topic. Love to discuss Mars anytime. Yeah, just about myself. My name is Alexandra Vidyuk. I'm based in Singapore. I'm a space tech investor. I work for a deep tech VC, and also I'm an angel investor. I also a partner at a venture builder which is called Beyond Earth Technologies, which is focusing on building a stack of technologies which will enable us to move to Mars, to the moon, and to build generally space economy better. And I also run a blog.
It's you see this as an investment opportunity. It's somewhere close, if you believe that.
As of today, I think the investable projects are the ones which have some Earth applications.
So dual use,
yeah, dual use,
like
dual use, yeah.
dual use, not military, but like space.
So, yes, space and Earth application. Yes.
Okay, understood. Good. It's like that Starlink. I believe that Elon Musk, like when he realized that NASA's budget was increased in just like a few percent per year for last 2 decades. So it was like $20 billion a year 10 years ago, now 25. So, and he needs like lots of starships, and he decided to develop some revenue streams and develop that dual use tag.
It's a perfect.
It's very beautiful. It's like like if people don't want to allocate as their political demand for their politicians, they don't want to allocate material money on space. It's 25 billion. It's total budget of on everything. Like it's for launches. It's about, I guess, about $5 billion for launches. So, and he built that beautiful thing. Okay, guys, half of the planet doesn't have internet. Okay, let's do it. I think it's my personal opinion. I think it's when a person has a real mission to do things no matter what, and he accepts reality that no, like not like that Apollo program or whatever. So I think it's really beautiful. Like it's like what you wanna basically wanna do, like dual use.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is the only way. Yeah.
Only way. Okay, understood.
Yeah, that's all. And I also run a space ambition blog, which has 11,000 subscribers. And this is for space tech investors and space tech founders.
It's you mean that your Substack mail list?
Yeah.
It's not blog
Yes.
like okay, yeah, I read it. It's really good, and I you know I'm
Thank you.
I'm avid reader of your like you are sometimes really deep, like so that's cross-disciplinary synthesis. What I love, it's
I think we also try to make it like in plain English, 5-10 minutes read maximum, because a lot of, like internet materials or just podcasts, you go and they start using abbreviation, they start using terminology, and people are like, oh, it goes like above my height, I'm not going to read it. Just not good for our society, because people think, oh, it's a rocket science. I'm not Elon Musk. I can't invest in space. I cannot build it, but it's not true. So I think we don't realize how many verticals today.
yeah, it's interesting because I had a feeling like that. Oh, I read and I understand everything in your emails, but you reveal secret that you really
That's
try to.
exactly.
Okay,
You are
that's
my
interesting.
audience. Yeah.
Okay. So basically, if you know uh, why Mars, it's like it's important for humankind, like why it's worth to really uh, beyond some romantic uh, dreams of interplanetary species, as Elon Musk says, is there something rational for for us to be there? You mean to colonize, not just to reach, but any insights?
Okay, yeah, I think first what I would like to mention is that Mars strategy is not commonly accepted, right? Even, for example, if you watch the latest Lex Friedman videos with Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, you will see that they have a polar view, right? So Elon Musk is for Mars, and Jeff Bezos is for these on nails stations, which he calls like the one which like cylinders in space nearby Earth in orbit.
And
Which is,
any ideas why? I mean, is it rational or irrational, or I mean, business is.
I think it's just different opinions. I don't think there is like I don't think we will just be like on Mars or in stations, right? I think probably will be a mixture of things, right? And I think it's both, actually both of these directions require similar set of technologies.
So it's about pure difference in visions. It's not something totally rational.
It's about, I guess it's kind of how do we create like 1 trillion people in our solar system? How do we make sure that we have, plan B in case if something happens with our Earth, either some natural disaster or let's say climate change will turn our planet into Venus, and then it will become inhabitable. That's what typical argument
Yeah,
which even,
existential risk. I know. There is like a school of philosophy of panics.
yeah, but also Mars is resource rich. There is rare earth minerals, there is metals, there is iron, a lot of stuff. And also there is less gravity, less easy to launch from there. It's easier to get to the asteroid belt. It's there's like the other options as well. Like that's while people want to go to the moon, right? Because moon can be a launch pad to Mars, right? That's one of the benefits of.
And by the way, let me ask you: do I understand right that there is some atmosphere on the Mars, so you don't have to bring oxygen from Earth there, right? Or you have just to make to create pressure, and that's it, or no? Because I
No,
remember
no,
in school, I that Mars used to have a hot core, and when it went down in terms of temperature, the magnetic field of Mars stopped to protect from space radiations, and the atmosphere has been brought off by the cosmic rays. So that's, and but still there is something, right? Or
that's correct. I think what happened with Mars, that's the theory, right? There is atmosphere, and but it's not as thick, and it doesn't have as much oxygen as we need. So most likely we will have to bring oxygen, or we will have to produce oxygen there.
so you still need to okay, so I got wrong. Okay.
Yeah, and also you need to increase the atmospheric pressure to be on Mars. Yeah, there's lots of
No. Initially, of course, they make the pressure in like in some buildings, but and from building of oxygen, it's probably requires, even if there is no water, is it still possible to create oxygen there? You just need energy, right?
Yes, it's so carbon removal, for example, right? So how do you there's a lot of carbon dioxide, right? If you
So
like, for example,
okay. So it's about more about abundance of energy and nothing really.
correct. And we just found a lot of ice on the Mars as well, right? So that's definitely a source which we can use. Yeah.
So I mean, it's water ice on Mars.
It's predicted to be water ice, a lot of water ice.
I mean,
Yes.
it's it's scientifically proven that there is definitely some ice.
It was in the news a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. They said they
How
don't
is
know.
it possible you do not have atmosphere but still have like that I understand, like gravity keeps it and it
Yeah.
can, like, so it could be really old, like
And I
hundreds of
think
years.
it's under I think it's also underground.
Okay. Oh, so I understand. It was 2 weeks ago. Or what? Like it was some like
Yeah. It's also on space news, all over the internet. Yeah, I'll send you a link later.
okay, interesting. Okay, so I heard like a resource rich, a nice spot for interplanetary option, existential risk hedge in case it happens. Uh, Easy to, probably on the moon it's hard to develop oxygen. On Mars you have that kind of abundance. So like,
Mhm.
mm, and in terms of like, you believe that at some time horizon, that I don't know. I'm really far from it. But if we look from the capitalist perspective, it's like price and value. It, do you believe that at some point of time it would be economically reasonable to bring something back from Mars to Earth? I mean, does it make any sense?
I think lots of probably we talk here about in situ resource utilization, right? Is how do we build something using Mars soil? How do we produce food, oxygen, fuel, and utilizing it there?
So it's more
Uh,
about self-sustainability there.
yes, I don't see any specific things which we can bring. For example, everyone talks about helium-3 on the moon, right? Which created by solar winds. And we don't have it on Earth. And it's like one of the most expensive, substances on
Understood.
Earth. People
So
want to use, yeah.
big value proposition of Mars, that idea is that you do not make some base like on the moon, but you believe that it's possible to make self-sustainable, basically another civilization there, right?
Yeah. Yes, and it's not just economically driven, right? It's also driven by our instincts as the Homo sapiens, right? We want to go and expand constantly our borders. That's why we
And
went to
and
Americas.
I have a feeling like it just sidestep before we talk about starships, but
Mhm.
what about that radiation? So you have to travel to Mars for like half a year or something like this, or 1 year? How long?
I think it's 6, 7 months. Yeah.
Okay, and you are exposed on the radiation, right? So how, it's first question. The second question is, when you landed there and you live there, how dangerous is Mars from in terms of no atmosphere, so all radiation is dangerous.
Correct. Yeah. As soon as we leave magnetic field protection of Earth, we're exposed to radiation and solar radiation, right? And radiation is a serious concern and needs to be managed appropriately, although it's not as deadly as many think. Exposure during flight, which exactly what you mentioned, 6 to 7 months, it's an issue because ship is quite small and there is not many areas where we can
Yeah,
hide.
I remember. That starship is like about 5,000-6,000 tons, and
Mhm.
a ship is about like 200 tons. So I mean, everything else is like fuel, but with 200 tons, so it's not that extremely big.
Yeah, and there's already solutions. For example, Astrorod, which developed a protection gear which can hide or protect some of your vital organs, which generate stem cells. They recently tested it during NASA Artemis 1 mission, and it showed
And
great.
from physical point of view, what is it? It's like not like it's something metal, or how it works.
It's like kind of Western belt, I guess. Like kind of like or like life jacket, like safety jacket. Yeah. So
So
it's
you wear it during your flight when you are in the spacecraft, right?
yes, correct.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, I never. So it's not about like the for outer space, but you wear it inside. I didn't hear about this.
Yeah, it's already exists. Yeah, so it's been tested already. So yeah. And actually, that we don't have significantly proven data on how exactly long-term radiation will affect things such as cancer, for example, right? This is different from acute radiation, which people experience during Chernobyl or Fukushima incidents.
But
But
sorry,
we're not
sorry.
going.
I heard, maybe I'm wrong. I heard
Mhm.
that even pilots of aircrafts, they have some exposure during their careers. I don't know details, but I heard that there is some rumors like you fly 10,000 hours during your life, you get that, but you say that long-term slower radiation is not that dangerous.
We don't have any data scientifically proven which says that yes, people who've been to the moon have more cancers than people who haven't, or people who spend more than 1 year in orbit have more problems with health. This
Like
data
you know
today
that spacemen during the last 6 years they researched their statistics on like radiation dependent illness, and they are fine, right?
yeah, so the sample is not representative. We don't see any results. How many people have been to the moon? Like 12, right? It's
Well,
and we
I understand it's like it's not statistical, but I remember like sometime like a few years ago I met that Russian spaceman, Leonov, who was the first man in outer space, and he was looking really well, like very energetic, like it's probably not that dangerous, like.
Yeah, and if we have some spaces on Earth where radiation is like 90 times, 80 times more than average on Earth, such as Black Beach in Brazil or Ramzan city in Iran, right? So that's
And why there is radiation? It's some like ores, or why? Or
I don't know exactly. I guess it's just some anomaly.
I understand. There are many reasons. There could be just radon gas or whatever. I understand. It's
Yeah.
many reasons could be. Okay, understood.
Yeah, but coming back to your second part of the question about Mars itself. So I think in terms of, I guess people can build protective measures on Mars, such as bulk material, personal protective equipment, underground shelters, or like and so on. So that's will have to be built for Mars colony.
So you just understood. You just live under the earth and naturally protected even from that, as you say, lower amounts of
Yeah. not quite pleasant, but I guess this is the way to do it. Yeah.
That's interesting. And would be people, sorry if it's like strange question, would be people on Mars, if you say it's self-sustainable colony,
Mhm.
would be people there able to healthy reproduce? I mean, because there is like 40% of gravitation. Uh, like, is any research on that? Have you heard about this?
Hmm. So I think there is obviously no research about, like, we don't have kids, we don't have babies in space yet. We didn't have it. So uh, the latest research which I've seen is that actually the problem is with placenta. Placenta. So because placenta is the when self divides very quickly, and then in zero gravity, cells division is less by 70%. So, and that's probably, even if pregnancy will happen, that the placenta would not grow as fast as it should be to support a healthy baby. That's
It's
one thing.
gravity dependent, right?
It is gravity dependent, correct? Yes. But in the same time, I see some startups and technologies coming our way to actually use zero gravity for some IVF treatments and some fertility treatments. So I guess there's also another way. There's like the whole like area is not fully researched yet, but I do believe that the technology can help as well. And then potentially, if we're going to
I hear you that it's just one of of the direction for future research. I mean I was thinking that maybe of course it's impossible. We don't have base on Moon just to check this or whatever, or do not have any kind of base on Mars. We will test it
Mhm.
just as the way it go.
I guess we will test on rats first and then see how it goes, as usual.
And you personally, if it would be possible to travel to Mars, would you personally go there? I mean, way back. I mean, it's not just like a one-way ticket, like, but if it would be like say $100,000 and you get there and back, would you personally want to?
I definitely would, but I would like to see it a bit more stable industry and yeah, like many flights, good traction, no incidents, and yeah, exactly the price, right? So that, yeah, of course.
Quite interesting. And also, what about just space flight? Would you love like to fly?
I think it has to be fun, right, for me. So I think there's like many options now. You have suborbital flights, you have space tourism. People like
And for
some of
you, suborbital flight, is it space or not? 100 kilometers, is it space for you or not?
them. I guess
For
it's space.
information, on like about 15 kilometers, 15, 20, definitely 20, it's 100% true. There is darkness like in the space, 20 kilometers. So, I mean, it's 100. Is it space or not? And on the height of 10,000 meters, just 10,000 meters, you have like a few times smaller amount of oxygen. And on 50 kilometers, you have like 0.0 percentage of oxygen. So it's almost space. Like it's really just 50 kilometers.
I guess for me, if it's dark and there is no atmosphere, that's count as space. But
Okay,
there's
darkness is just
option. You can have look at like space perspective, which does like these huge balloons which take you up to this, like exactly like
and balloon is able to bring you up to the darkness, like the 30, 40
yeah, and then
kilometers,
you
right?
can have like champagne, or you can make a proposal there. You can celebrate your birthday, right? This is what you can do. It's for fun, right? And you still can enjoy the view, and you still can feel. That's what people say when you look
I
from
agree
from.
with you that if it's dark, for me it's space. I agree. I don't think like that Cartman line. No, no, no. I don't. Yeah, I think if I'm in darkness, no oxygen, I'm fine. And minus 100 temperature Celsius, it's fine. Okay, and uh, I understood why Mars and some questions about how is it possible to make it self-sustainable in terms even of reproduction. But in terms of reaching Mars, I heard that Elon Musk said he wants to settle 1 million people.
Yeah.
So how how big effort it should be in terms of number of launches, tons to deliver, how big and how much it could be cost, like just to try to make any estimates. I remember that Apollo program, it's like a few hundreds of millions, 10 years, like a few hundreds of thousands of people worked on that. Probably it was like a few percent GDP of USA at the moment. And in terms of 2 day stack, that 1 million people to Mars, what it requires?
It's a difficult question. Obviously, lots of calculations required. I think according to Elon's estimate, it will be 1 million tons has to be moved to
1 million
Mars.
tons, so 1 ton per one person. Okay.
Approximately, yeah. So I think approximately we're talking here about fleet of 1,000 starships, which each of them will
1,000.
make 1,000 of.
But now they
starships.
cost like billion or two each. So it's like, it's
Yeah,
now it will be cheaper.
Yeah, Starship didn't even make it to the space yet, so there's no successful flight. So we're still waiting for that. By the way, he promised the third one would be in February. Today is the 26th of February, right? So we're still waiting. So yeah, that's yeah.
You believe that it's about radical cost reduction. It's not about like 2 billion per one starship, definitely. Yeah.
So I think because they developed as fully reusable rockets and rapidly reusable as well. So I think potentially the cost can be, we can drive it like to 2 million per launch. Right? That's what I read some
When they
other.
finally will do this, I hear you. Then they will, but they have positive experience with Falcon 9 already, like a few failures initially, but since then, since these first a few crashes, every time they launch like 50 or 70 launches, everything was fine since then. So I mean, they understand what they do, and it doesn't matter that now it doesn't work. Okay, 2 million per launch. So it's how many launches? Like 1 million tons to deliver.
Let's say each starship will take 100 tons cargo.
100 tons cargo.
Yeah, we need maybe 6 to 8 launches to refuel it in orbit. So it's about 60 to 80,000 launches, there's several per day.
Per day, several per day or it looks like for decade you have. So we can we can see like every day a few starship launches, like, and it's for 10 years, like it's.
I think that as to actually build you kind of you scale it from 0 to 1,000, maybe from 2,000 to 1,000,000, right? It's kind of different stages, right? But to actually build 1 million, estimated it will take us 20 years. So 1 million, which we start generating its own GDP, and kind of started becoming independent from Earth economy, right? That's just very beginning. And by the way, this estimates was around 600 billion to set this up.
It looks extremely ambitious because we talk about that 1 million people. It's really a lot. So that's it's. But for self-sustainability, like probably lots of people with different skills, and I'm still one-way ticket. I'm still, by the way, I'm still curious who will be those people who will decide, just to, because maybe I'm old school. Our planet is so beautiful, like I see sun in my eyes, like blue atmosphere, like, but I mean, I believe that people are, of course, are different, but okay, 2 million per launch, a few launches a day, I hear. And in terms of, I had a look on life extension and longevity topic, and it looks like it's just a pure basic research now. In terms of Mars, to which extent it's engineering versus basic or applied research? I mean, how is what kind of knowledge we do not have yet to
In general, we don't have scientific problems to kick off the Mars colonization.
engineering problems?
Only engineering, yeah, only engineering. And I think if I look at the key issues, and I think this is exactly what our venture builder is trying to do, right? So kind of thinking about what's the technology stack we need to have. Right. So first of all, is transportation now, which is being solved by Elon SpaceX Starship. Second is, okay, how do we got there? What are you going to do, right? How are we going to mine water or produce water? Are we going to find ice? Are we going to energy production? Are we going to bring our nuclear?
And energy production, it's probably something like some kind of nuclear tech, right? I guess it's something like this.
Most people think about nuclear, but is there plutonium on Mars, right? It's another good question, right? So the fuel production as well. That's what also people thinking. Okay, so are we going to bring fuel there and then go back, or are we going to
so still from that ice, you have to find some. So it's in the same way as like atmosphere, right? So you have to, first people who fly there would be like, really.
That's gonna be tough, right? It's gonna be very tough. Yeah.
So you land there and you have to, even if you have already seen that these starships fly down and get back to the orbit of Mars, you still have to build their fuel manufacturing. It sounds like, but it's engineering, not a science, right? So you have to
engineering, yeah. It's engineering, yeah. So like how do you build habitats? How do you produce food there? How do we produce life support, like closed cycle, legal framework for space colonization?
What do you mean legal framework? Sorry, it's what?
So currently there is many gaps in the legal framework. For example, we don't, obviously there is United Nations space treaties, which has been like long time ago developed.
And so currently on for example, International Space Station, which laws are there, like on Earth?
I don't know. I don't know. But the problem is, for example, we can't sell anything which you bring from space. And let's say problem with space debris. One of the reasons why it's
I hear. Like space is sensitive to these negative externalities, and we even set aside that problem of like colonization in terms of like one superpower, another superpower. It's still about, even if we step that aside, of militarization of space, we still have to. I hear. It's interesting.
Yeah. For example, if you find a boat in the ocean, you can just take it and bring it back to shore. You cannot do it with a satellite. It's illegal. If you found a dead satellite in orbit, you can't bring it to Earth. It's illegal. And that's why we have so much junk and garbage and debris.
I heard like tens of thousands of pieces of different sizes, at least of like 10 centimeters and bigger.
Yeah, exactly. And like so many satellites already out of service, but they're still there. No one is cleaning it up. And one of the reasons because you don't have legal framework to support that.
I hear. So I never heard about that from legal point of view. Like just
not just technology, it's also law, right? So that's But I guess it will move.
I hear fuel production, energy, even if ideally like self-sustainable energy there, in any kind of like that food production on like full cycle, like, so, without, but probably, of course, for some time, first colonists will live there with the support of, like, of course, but I hear that an idea is to make it like a planet without atmosphere, but still like a self-sustainable planet. I hear you. And if you mentioned that your Substack, and what else one may read with focus on Mars, like with some opinion leaders, like
I think the problem is like there is no like central body which coordinating Mars colony or even collecting the data and research about that. So
why?
there is I don't
Because the
know.
problem is not big, or what, or why, or people just focus on their areas, like.
I honestly don't know. I guess there is no funding, and probably everyone expecting people like Elon Musk to take a lead. Obviously, SpaceX is laser focused on Starship now, not Mars colony, I guess,
You
but
just
maybe
do this and fine. I'm fine, guys. You do not have to read about this. I'm just working on my starships, right?
there is a Mars Society, which is like a non-profit organization which like does a lot of competition, student competition, Mars Colony prizes, conferences. There's also a newsletter you can sign up. It's quite technical, I would say, and it's like very long, a lot of information to consume. I guess if you just want to kind of
In my terms of progress acceleration, it's about the talent supply part. So you can press on talent, you can allocate more resources, and you can optimize processes, how things are done. So it's about talent acquisition, that people self-determine it early and don't go just to some business or corporate career. I think it's really important. I would love to invest into some kind of startups which help people to sell, in some proven ways. Like, I understand it's complicated, but I keep in mind and try to hypothesize what kind of startups it could be. Like, I don't know, just as an example, maybe there should be some kind of, I don't know, maybe nonprofit, maybe startup of like, to require that science fiction is in school programs around the world. It's just an example. So, like, people are exposed like classic literature or whatever, but with currently with LLMs, I'm surprised what we will see in 10 years. I'm really, I don't know, like, but it's just an example that you have, because that optimistic science fiction, you are exposed to this, and affects you later. So I think it's really important. I would love personally to be an angel in that kind of business.
It's actually quite funny. So like I'm not sure if you watched this series on, I think it's on Amazon Prime, which called For All Mankind, which is like exactly about how people build lunar, like lunar
I
cislunar
watched
economy.
Expanse. It's one of my top series. Expanse.
Yeah, I love Expanse too, but I think for all mankind, it's a bit like more practical how they actually build from scratch.
I
From
hear.
like
I will check. I hear. I hear that falls from, in terms, not like book, but uh, easy to consume video content. But that's yeah. I hear.
I think Salman recently told me the story, like it was kind of, they ran out of budget, and last two seasons, was it actually was it Expanse, I think. So they ran out of budget, and then Jeff Bezos was in that room, and he's like said, no, I'm going to actually pay from his own pocket. So he covered the last two seasons. And I think this type of sci-fi series, I think I love them. I think it's like amazing, and kind of how do you build interplanetary politics, and like everything that was quite good. But there is a great book as well, Case for Space, which actually a lot of founders which I speak to, they read it and they had an idea from that book by Robert Zubrin, which led them.
It's like 1999, something like this book. Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's quite old, but there's the new ones. I think there's a recently launched or being launched now, which calls Case for Mars, which is a bit more recent. I guess there's lots of like business use cases and options what we can do on Mars. I'm going to read it. It's just launched, I think, last couple of
Yeah,
days.
by the way, probably, maybe I don't know, maybe I'm not right. Uh, Elon Musk did not have that initial, like when he did just his first businesses, he didn't ever talk about Mars. So probably he may be affected by this view and vision also, because like
Probably, I actually don't know. I read his biography, but I think he spent
I
whole.
remember something like that. But I was like checking this for some so he before like 2000 something he did not think at all about this, just different. But and then okay, guys, I have a okay, I realize what I want to do. But I hear that you say that founders, that it just some rare book. And also, like, by the way, last year books you liked, just
Um, I'm probably I'm bad at like reading the books of like the last year. I can just tell you like I really enjoyed Musk biography
yeah,
last year. I
it was good, very good, very deep.
highly recommend Outliers. It's about great people such as Bill Gates and everyone.
It's
What's the
Malcolm Gladwell.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's quite it just it's an old book, but it's yeah. I was too slow to read it. um, and then I obviously read a lot of sci-fi books as part of my passion, as part of my job. I think I have to.
And by the way, I don't know if it's tough question, but still I want to ask: are there any good big science fictions maybe last 5 or 10 years? Or I mean, if you know something, recommend me. Because I'm trying.
So have you read Free Body Problem?
Yeah, at least
That's
two parts of it. Yeah, that's good.
that's one of my favorite. Yeah. I love Foundation as well. No, but it's
Okay, I
not.
will check. I
It's
didn't know
also
them.
Isaac Asimov, right? I tried to read Expanse as well, but I watched all the series and I tried to read the book. I
I
think books
didn't
also,
read Expanse. I enjoyed it like a visual.
books are
But
also great.
it's a book. Or initially it was a book.
Yeah, it is the book, and actually the book also have the end of the story, like about this molecule, right? So they actually
So
have it.
I can read. I can just read that to understand what, because they stopped that.
Yeah. You should read the book to actually understand what
That's good. That's good. That's okay.
that's probably yeah, that's probably what
Everybody problem, there will be like that by guys who made uh I do not remember their names right now, like guys who made uh, uh, that Mark Benioff and Weiss like working on that uh, free body problem, that Western version of that. I'm waiting, like people, in Hollywood, like they delayed
did
content
you watch the Chinese version?
like a strike. Okay, very interesting. And last question, probably. Uh, how do you think? Uh, uh, we have a SpaceX, $150 billion company.
Mm-hmm.
There is a strong leadership of Elon for 23 years as of now, something like that, 20,
Mm-hmm.
22 at least. So, how do you think? That guy, I love him, but, he has some like last like year or two, he, public, at least maybe it was before, but now it appears publicly, but some quirky experiments or whatever. In case if something happens to Elon Musk, how it will affect A, SpaceX, and B, Mars colonization direction overall? Just your opinion. How do you think?
I think, unfortunately, as of today, I think that now we're at the moment when Starship didn't fly successfully yet, right? So I think this will be critical for Starship, similar to what happened to USSR moon program after Korolyov's death, right? So probably would be less critical after Starship is flying. It's yeah, it's problematic, and I think it's also, you know, it's not a guarantee that we will be on Mars, even if Elon lives until 120 years, right? And I think I like how Elon said that the window which we have to actually to be able to build a colony on Mars, it's very small for our civilization, right? Think about what happened with the moon. We've been there 50 years ago, and what now we're still trying to get back, right? So even if you have the transportation ready to go, even if you have enough budget, and even if you have the technology stack which enables us to go, it's not a guarantee. So I think that's what also what we are trying to do as part of Beyond Earth technology is to actually enable this technology stack for future people.
I hear that. I don't know. Yeah, I talked, you know, like in progress punks terms of, that's why I call it progress punks. It's people, exactly idea that people who have a purpose, who need this, who go extra mile or do something really differently. So that's I said before that you have three pillars of how you can increase and push scientific and engineering progress planet-wide during our lives. Talent supply, like you say, that people self-determinate from science fiction and educate whatever, and from different countries, so they relocate and go to places where they could be like more useful. Another is how much money you invest, and that what we're talking about, that model of like, okay, people don't want to reallocate budgets, we will sell them starships. It's crazy capitalistic idea from my point. Like, so you have three models. One model is you directly fund it from government expenditures like NASA. Another way is like Jeff Bezos, you make money on something else and reinvest in Blue Origin, and you do like Elon Musk, or like, as you said, you want to do like dual purpose tech, creates so much value that it's possible to directly finance your space exploration. And, you know, it's about funding. And third is like what I'm focusing on in terms of my investments in startups which develop tools and services for scientists, engineers, and commercialization, and probably talent supply. But still, you know, three pillars: talent supply, resource allocation, and tools. And now, last month, I realized that there's probably number four. It's people like Elon Musk, some really purposeful people with extreme desire. So they start to do things differently. Like, that was extremely innovative, to start to think about space colonization as a capitalistic way, not like NASA or national space agencies, like maybe 20 billion more dollars. So it's like 40, 50 billion dollars a year for entire planet. So we have a 100 trillions of global GDP and just 50 billion for space. And he says, no problem, we will charge people. So I think it's like that factor number for people like Musk. I think I started to realize that it's like, I did underestimate that before. So that's why I asked you if, you know, if it's big, you know, I think we will finish now, but I remember, maybe maybe I'm wrong. Apple, since the death of Steve Jobs, it like was 10 years ago, something like that. And the company was like probably, I don't know, maybe dozens of times more expensive company now. Of course, they did not do something really radical, but in terms of that direction and scale, so it gives me some hope. And but I do really hope that nothing happens to Elon Musk. I think it's you know, we had a funny joke with my wife. She's a psychologist, and you know, we were discussing that he has serially married and new kids from new woman, and she said that something like, okay, probably the only person in the world who should not do any kind of therapy is Elon Musk, because he could become more comfortable for women around him, but the humankind may suffer. And she said that's an exception, but everybody else should do therapy, but not Elon Musk.
I love it. I love it. Bless him. Yeah, we need more
Yeah.
Elon.
It's it's extremely interesting. I will have to check, after your suggestions I will check, but I'm surprised that kind of major sides of that cross-disciplinary view. I thank you so much. I think, like, I wish you lots of success in your that dual use aerospace tech incubation and investing. I think it's like it's I think it's it's a real big trend, and he already proved that, Musk, and I think it's the only way to do this. Not like business or whatever, but to make organically. That's why I invest into progress enablers. If it creates value big enough, it will be self-sustainable. So you do not have to go to ask for government money or grants or whatever. Just the value should be there. Technology deserves that, to be served by. Yeah. So thank you so much. I appreciate.
Thanks, Victor. That was fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah.